Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Arangio. Welcome to the latest episode of The Real Deal, the show where we break down real life concerns with a meaningful conversation about this crazy, messy, beautiful thing we call life. Joining me, as always, is Julie Morrison, local psychologist, founder and director of HPA Live Well. Hello, Julie.
Hello.
How are you doing this week?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay.
It's a little cold. So that's my only complaint.
We've changed seasons,
Yeah,
like
we
officially
have.
now,
We have.
right? Did you break out the winter coat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ish.
Yes.
A mid
The lighter
level
coats.
coat.
Right, I got you.
Even though I'm still cold,
Right.
I just can't do it yet.
All right, so that brings us to Election Day. We just had it yesterday, and that's our topic today.
Yep.
And we're using it really as a jumping off point, as you know, Julie, of, the anxiety of our political climate these days. How much is too much to share, the fears we have of sharing our opinions, and then there's the backlash concerns too. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into all that, but we always go back to what we talked about last week, and that was tackling the good, the bad, and the ugly of smartphones.
Yeah.
Okay, so you presented a challenge for everybody. Do you remember what it was?
I think we were supposed to be good role models.
Right. How did that go for you?
I was a good role model in other ways.
Okay.
I have to say, I did notice, I caught myself. I think I was at dinner.
Yeah.
My family, and we yell at everybody, put your phone down, don't bring your phone to the table.
Yeah.
And my husband and I both got messages. Fairness, they were from work.
Okay.
But maybe I could have waited, 10 minutes to respond.
Right, but you pick it up.
Yep, it's automatic. So
Yeah.
not great, admittedly.
So I feel like I'm not great at remembering the real challenge ahead of time until in the moment something happens and I go, oh,
I didn't do it.
Right. And so I failed miserably. And the moment came in the car. The phone is there. It pings. I'm at a red light. I hear it. I'm like, ooh. And my husband's right next to me. He's much better about this than I am. I give him so much credit. And he said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And my son is in the back seat. So then I just thought immediately of our conversation being role models and thought, there is so much to work on.
Right.
And that is real. I mean, it's just such a safety issue.
Right.
And when you do have impressionable kids with you,
Yeah.
and you're going through this because you have one that does drive and one that's learning.
One that does drive and one that's 14. So
Okay, not yet.
Yeah,
But will be.
But it was fun. I mean, it was that whole thing and it's funny, I say this at work a lot of times, is parents can expect their kids to do something they're not willing to do, right? And so if I can't wait 10 minutes to respond to something,
How are they going to do it?
right, why should they, in their opinions, right? Make me a
The hardest
case.
thing being a parent for so many reasons.
Yeah, it's a long list.
Okay, so Election Day was yesterday, and these are sensitive topics to begin with, right?
Yep.
First of all, I mean, given what I do as a journalist, it is not my job ever to share my opinion, and I feel really strongly about that. It is very ethically important to me that when we're covering stories, and others can attest to this, it's like, are we balanced? Are we covering both sides? Nothing upsets me personally more if we've got one side covered and not the other. Like, wait a minute. Because I want our viewers to understand that we're going to present all of the information for you. But we're living in a time when it is so politically charged right now. And I think one of the difficult things about it being very polarizing is that you get anxious about this.
Sure.
And so I'm hoping you can, speak to this a little bit for us and, really how we manage the anxiety and not let it get to us when we're hearing someone who may think something differently than us. We're not pointing fingers at any political candidate here or any politician because we know somebody's going to love that person's politics and someone's going to hate that person's politics.
Right. Well, the first thing you said about, your job is that you're giving the facts, right?
Yes.
It's not an opinion. You get to give the facts. And I think that that's where people can decide, am I giving you fact or am I giving you opinion? The other question is, did you ask me for my opinion? Because if you did, you've invited me to share that opinion with you. It's sort of like how I say to my kids, when they ask me for something, can I have this? It's yes or it's no. Sometimes it's no, right? Sometimes I'm going to say something you may have a reaction to. And so if somebody asks your opinion about these things, whether they're charged or not, you've sort of been invited in to give your opinion. Now, in terms of how you want that to go, whenever we have an action, you want to kind of think about, well, where do I want to be down here, right? Someone may ask me my opinion, but how much intensity I present that opinion with, I need to decide, right? It's not necessarily my job to convince someone that my opinion is correct. You've only asked me to share it. And I think that when we're in a climate like we are, we want to be watchful in terms of when I start to share something with you, this person is not necessarily going to unlearn what I've shared with them. So if that may color the way that I'm seen in other relationships, maybe it's a professional person who asks you what your opinion is, or it's your children, or it's a friend, or whatever it happens to be, thinking about, I want to maintain this relationship. And this relationship requires that I maintain it in such a way that maybe I'm just going to give some of my opinion.
Yeah, especially if someone asks. And it seems as though everybody is so judgmental. And I know, we spoke about this anxiety piece because I'll tell you in the newsroom when people start sharing their opinions, I think because of what we do, again, we're not presenting anything on the air.
Sure.
But if you hear someone, even if someone behind the scenes is talking about it, it does make me feel a little uncomfortable because I know what my role is.
Right.
So how do we not let ourselves get so anxious? Do we speak up? Do we say, that it's okay for you to have your opinion, but understand that others here may not feel the same way. Like I'm never sure how to handle that.
I think you have to decide though. You have to remember that you may do that. And what if you don't convince this person? What if I guess you want to go into these thinking, can we agree to disagree?
That's the
Am I
thing.
sharing my opinion only because I think you're about to agree with me?
Right.
Because if I am, I'm taking a risk. And is that a risk I'm willing to take? The other thing is that is it necessary for you to change this person's opinion? And I think things are heavily charged. I think the other thing about it is in this climate we're in, people think they're entitled to share their opinion. And I think that's also something that's different, right? Is that people kind of seem to present themselves as, I'm going to give you my opinion whether you want it or not. And so I don't necessarily think it's only you deciding, am I sharing my opinion? But what's my response if I hear something that's so counter to what I believe? What is my threshold for when I feel like I must say something?
Yeah.
When is it a thing that I feel, if I feel that the health or welfare of a child is at stake, just as an idea, that might be a threshold for me where I say, I don't care if you like me after this or not. I am going to let you know my opinion and why I feel this way because it's so important to me that I will go down on this. I will fall on this sword, and I am willing to do that.
That's how some people feel.
Truly. And I think that's, you have to decide for yourself what your threshold is.
What's the responsibility here, right? Perfect. It just came to my mind of, you're an educator. And this is happening a lot in our classrooms where one way or the other, your teachers, your professors are sharing their thoughts, which certainly can influence the students. Yeah. And again, on the one hand, why shouldn't they be allowed to share? On the other hand, are you inviting others' opinions? Is someone else's opinion considered to be less than yours and they are afraid to raise their hand and say, actually, I think this?
Well, I think that kind of reminds us that our kids go to school and then they learn, right? Like we have to decide, we have to help them sort of sift through what they're learning, right? So if you want to have these conversations about, hey, did anyone talk about the election today? Yep, they did. Okay, in what class? Oh, in this class. Okay. Do you feel like they gave you the facts or did they share with you an opinion? They shared an opinion. What was their opinion? It was X. How do you feel about that? What we want our kids to start to be able to learn is that as they get the facts, they're going to form their own opinions. But what happens with kids is that they borrow the opinion of the people they trust. So very often, as parents, we have kids that think, if you're a Republican, your kids think, well, I'm a Republican. Well, you have brown hair because I had brown hair. I didn't make you a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. But we recognize that that's the way we communicate in our families, so kids will sort of trend in a direction.
And latch onto that.
Exactly. Yeah. But what we want to do as parents is help them understand why you got to that opinion and then help them be able to understand these other adults in their lives. If they are at a school and they're being told these things, seeing if they can figure out what the facts were and where the opinions were and help them understand the difference because they're going to be in that boat too.
I'm the first person to admit that's so challenging nowadays because it seems like everything can be skewed and statistics can be skewed. And so, making it just about the facts, it's difficult. And, we hear so often about misinformation on both sides. And so it is hard when you've got stuff coming at you from every direction. So I recognize the real challenge in that. So how do we be authentic without sharing too much that can, quite frankly, I think, turn people off sometimes? Like, oh my gosh, they're always going off on this.
Well, I think what we could say is, when someone asks you a question, you have to decide again how close you're gonna go to this. So, say someone is elected. What do you think about this so and so who was just elected to as say mayor or whatever? Instead of talking about issues, maybe it's I heard it was a close race. Being able to engage but not share too much and waiting for that person maybe to give you a little bit more. Learn how to read the room, right? Well, what did you think about it? Yeah, I heard it was an important race. I don't know a ton about it. What do you think about it? Oh, well, oh my gosh, this person won and this was my thought and what about this? Now getting to the facts versus the person. Oh, so you're telling me that their focus is on that. That seems to make some sense, but what you seem like you're having a reaction. What is it? Turn it. Turn the conversation and be a good listener. If you don't want to share something, learn how to listen. If you don't want to answer something, you can reflect back to someone. You can say, I don't know much about it. Tell me more about it. If you do have an opinion, I have an opinion, but I'd love to hear yours. Turn it first so you can read your room. Right?
Yeah, even the body language, right?
Yeah.
Like if you are saying something that might be politically charged, you're not getting the response you think you're going to get, or someone seems uncomfortable, that should be like, okay, you know what? I'm not going down this road.
Right.
Because guess what? Like you said, we can agree to disagree.
And you can say to somebody, listen, I'm not a super political person. I feel like maybe what I'm talking about seems to be bothering you. I'm going to self-select out. I don't have more to say. It's not my job to change your opinion or things like that. You can learn.
Disarming.
But remember, once you're in it, remember you got to be able to find your exit. So the more you talk, the more you're in a conversation. I think the other thing we can do for our kids, teach them how to ask questions instead of just talking. Less is more, right? I had a professor one year tell me in graduate school, get in and get out. When it's highly charged, get in and get out. Don't spend so much time talking. Ask questions and get out of there. And teaching our kids how to do that and reflect back what they heard. Because they might get it wrong. Right. Teach a kid how to say, oh, did you say, it sounds like you like so-and-so. I didn't say that. I said, I like the fact that they're worried about, some of these social causes. Oh, tell me about those. Right. Teaching them how to do that, have a conversation not about picking this person or picking that person, but what matters to this person. I just learned about my teacher that they care about, feeding the poor. I didn't know that. I just knew that they voted for so-and-so. Okay, now I know something about this person. Using those charged things and disarming them by learning about the person who's sharing their information. This doesn't have to be contentious. It could be an opportunity for you to get to know the people who are sharing with you.
More. Too. Okay, a lot more to talk about on this subject because we already hit on a little bit like, can you share your views? Is it right or wrong? But then bringing in the social media piece to all of this too, which there's concerns about being canceled, et cetera. So much more to come on this. We're back in just a moment with more from The Real Deal. Back to The Real Deal here with Julie as we continue to talk about the politically charged climate we're in, navigating that, trying not to get so upset when someone else is sharing their opinion, and like you said, learning to read the room. But we got into slightly talking about the social media piece of this and said we would expand on this a little bit more because there's something else that we want to make clear, and I know you feel the same. I mean, we're so lucky to live in this country where we can share our opinions, where we can say what we feel, where we could go down the street and protest if we want. But then there's this other piece of it now where, unfortunately, some can be very turned off if we're either going on and on, or it's all over social media, or we know that others don't agree with our opinion. So How do we manage that? You see something on social media and you're really not a fan.
Well, I mean, I think that we have to, again, decide if this is a sword you want to land on. So, whenever we make any decision about anything, there's a consequence. There are rewards. There are consequences. You risk those things, right?
Yeah.
And I think that sort of this idea of being canceled is a thing. It is a thing. And I think that one of the things people believe is that when they give a second opinion or a different opinion, that it has to be argumentative, that it has to be aggressive, it has to be difficult, it has to come out with some aggression. That's not the case, right? The best articulated information is done in a thoughtful, planned way. And if you feel like you're seeing something online that is upsetting to you and you feel like it is your duty because of your belief and you believe that even if there's a risk for being, quote, canceled, it's worth it to me. I think that what you want to do is model for people who are going to be hearing your message that you're able to send it in a way that's not judging the person who sent you the opposing message, but rather doing it in a way that you can be proud of, right? Because the other thing you want to also recognize is you may agree with someone's opinion that's shown on social media, but you may not like how they present it.
Oh, that happens a lot.
And that happens a ton. Yeah. And so you want to be recognizing that when you like something on Instagram, for example, you're not just liking the content, you're liking the way that that content is being sent out. And so I think we want to send that message to our kids and to the other people around us, which is you don't have to send a different opinion with aggression. Yeah. And it's your chance to stop that. Right. You can say the other side. You can offer those other opinions and do it in a way that respects the fact that we do live in this country where we can say what we feel is true and you can present your opinion, but you don't have the right to be hurtful to other people. That is not one of the things listed, right, in the Constitution.
And that's what's happening too often now. And it becomes
I think it's
hurtful.
Immediately personal in the sense if you don't agree with me, then something must be off. Right. Or
how can we be friends? Which I mean, like, yes, of course you can. But when it gets into those hurtful words.
But you can be friends with someone who disagrees with you as long as they do it in a way that still respects you.
Respectful
and
way.
I think that's what people are really responding to is it's not the content and budgeting for, social things.
It's the way it's presented.
The way it's presented. It's presented in a way that I am right and you are wrong. And the fact that you are wrong means you are less than me. And that is what we can control.
Or how about this when they say, if you don't agree with me, you can just unfriend me right now because, we have nothing more to say to each other. Wait a second, what?
And how many of these issues are so black and white?
Right.
Isn't there a lot of gray in there? And if you tell me X, does it mean you can't believe Y? It's interesting because we always talk about this sort of dialectic in therapy. We talk about how two things can be true at once. Right? I can be grateful for my life and also find things about my life stressful, right? That's a dialectic. So I could say to you, Christina, I really respect you. I disagree with your thoughts on X, but I still can respect you. We need to remind everybody that those two things can be true at the same time, but you will risk those relationships. You will risk your profession or where you're going to go to college. If you are supporting messaging that is so angry and so charged, you can get your point across and still be respectful. Though that dialectic can exist.
Yeah, it's almost like you need to keep in your mind, as we used to hear so much in conversations, with all due respect.
Right. But think about it. When someone says with all due respect, they are about to say something to you that you could find disrespectful. So they're saying to you, warning, I may not do this well. Yeah. I may actually show you disrespect, but I don't want you to feel that way after the fact.
Yeah, but you still will.
But that person at least knows that they're about to argue with you.
Self-aware?
Absolutely. I'm going to say something that you may not agree with.
All right, some are very intent, and we've talked about this really for the whole conversation of trying to convince others, right?
Sure.
So, why does that become a concern? Or is this really more about it's okay to do that when someone seems to be responding to your side of things?
Yeah.
And then if they don't seem to be going for it, you're going to back way off. I don't know. To me, that's a tough one here. I think too many go into this saying, I am going to show them that it's my way or the highway.
So the interesting thing is, so let's say that's based on the election, and you're going to come in here and tell me that you think so-and-so should have won, but they didn't, and you can't believe I voted for them.
Right. How could you
Well,
possibly
first of
vote
all,
for someone?
it's over. The election's over.
Yep.
Right? What is your goal in fighting with me? Why do you need that win? That's something that you really need to ask yourself, is because you're not going to change the outcome of the race.
Right.
You're just going to tell me that you disagree with me and possibly disrupt the relationship we already just had. Now, I'm not telling you that you should say, hey, I really agree with what you did.
Yeah.
But the question is whether or not you have to win that. What is the win for you?
Right.
And I think that's the idea of thinking before you speak, right? Our parents always used to say that to us. There's no thought. Now it's just like you just go.
It's
you
immediate.
just talk and
Well, also
or
you
post.
can hide now for a lot of people, right? Obviously, it's a little different with what you do and with what I do. You cannot hide behind the computer screen. But how many people with recent incidents, they are hiding behind their screen and they're just going off. And so they feel like they can do and say anything.
But that's still you. And I think that's what people need to
still
know. This whole
representation.
idea of a keyboard warrior. You're still the warrior, right? And this is not hidden.
I see your name.
Exactly.
See
And
your
your
face and your
aggression.
profile.
And actually consider, maybe you didn't want to sound so aggressive.
Yeah.
But because it was written word and it was sent in a certain time and it was all in I mean, I think my father's yelling at me half the time because he's always sending me texts in caps. Well, why are you yelling at me? Right? Someone might just misunderstand the messaging.
Right.
So taking the time and doing it old school and actually talking to someone face to face, if it's that important to you, is the thing we need to kind of get
Take
back
it off
to.
of social media.
Take it off.
Oh my gosh, right.
Yeah.
Do not have a whole fight and a
And
war
what's your goal?
back and forth. People are reeling, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. I can't
Right.
believe you said that.
Right.
It's
and would you, and if you're going to be the one who's typing
not
it,
ideal.
if someone could see you, if your mother could read what you were writing,
True.
if somebody who looks up to you could read that, if they could see your, if you were to say that to their face, would you?
Right.
And if the answer is no, take a beat and think about it.
Because guess what? You remember that. I remember things that
Yes.
I've read, and then I see the person next and I go, oh, yeah, I remember when that was a little rough.
Yeah.
It stays with you.
It stays.
You don't want that to
Nope.
be the last
It is your footprint.
impression. It's a footprint. We should talk about a real challenge before we wrap up with today's topic. Any thoughts? I think I have one.
Go.
No, just, give yourself that beat. I mean, you
Take a
said
beat.
it. Take a beat, that pause. And, before I say this, I'm going to be more cautious. And again, with what I do, I'm so cautious of this anyway.
Yeah.
But in circles, in private, if I'm even with my family, take a beat.
And just what's your end game?
Yeah.
If you're going to, even if it's not posting anything, it's just you're going to talk to your kids about something, you're going to talk to somebody at work, whatever.
Yeah.
What's your end game?
Right.
And is that what you're planning going to get you there?
Right.
Right?
I don't know. I just feel like we all need to be a little bit kinder, and I think it's the most important thing here that we're saying today.
And I think if
really.
I was really going to challenge it, I would say, can you show respect?
Okay.
Just show respect.
Show respect. Try to be kind. Thank you so much. Important conversation. It's something that we shy away from because you don't want to get into the specifics. I think we did a good job not getting into any specifics, but talking about
Well,
something
it's my opinion that we did a great job. So I agree.
I do agree with you in this case, Julie.
I do. We can still be friends.
Much more to come next week on another topic, yet to be decided, but make sure you tune back in. And that's all the time we have for The Real Deal today.